Welcome to Speaking Opera. My name is Howard Hart, and I'll be your host today. We are very fortunate to have a very busy man who's doing a lot, and he will tell us about all of those things he's doing. And I'm delighted to have back in the studio Gino Quilico. Welcome, Gino.
Hi, Howard. How are you?
Good. How are you? Bon
Busy,
Noël.
busy, but doing good, doing good. I can't complain.
Joyeux
Joyeux
Noël.
Noël
Well,
or Buon Natale because of my
Buon Natale.
origins are Italian. So yeah, Buon Natale.
So since we said that, I was segueing into, I'd like to ask you, you've championed Christmas music for a long time and you've performed a lot live. And I wanted to ask you about some of the programs you've done and what you're doing now with Christmas.
Christmas has always been very, very close to my heart. It's a family thing. Let's face it, because of my father being an opera singer, I've spent Christmas just about everywhere in the world, in hotel rooms and all kinds of places. So it always had this magic for me. And I love Christmas. We sing a lot with the Quilico family. And I try to always do several concerts in this. I've just finished my concerts for this year. And the last one was here in Montreal, and my whole family was there. I think 56 members of the family were there and friends. And I had a choir of 75 kids, and the choir of 75 kids come from the school, the music school of Vincent d'Indy, where my mother graduated 70 years ago. So, I mean, I was like so moved by this. It was like I was almost in tears to hear these kids, and they're kids from like 12 to 18, so that they have those angelic voices. And so, yeah, no, Christmas for me is just magical. I love it. I do all the big the big repertoire of the Christmas music, the Bing Crosby, Merry Christmas and a Happy Christmas, John Lennon, and then the classics like Panis Angelicus and even Hallelujah from Leonard Cohen. So I really do a big palette of music, and even one that I always do, because I sang Jean Valjean in Les Miserables. So the prayer of Jean Valjean works perfectly in a Christmas concert because it's a prayer. And so I always bring this back too. I think in English it's called Bring Him Home. I do it in French, of course, because I sang the French version of Les Miserables. So yeah, there you go. Christmas is very big at the Quilico family.
Thank you for telling us about that. I do want to, at this point, mention your website, because I'm discovering all kinds of things on your website myself. And a lot of the Christmas music is on the website. I did want to mention one of the reasons this podcast came into mind recently is I was watching some of the recording sessions from the
on YouTube.
I have my ammunition with me. Oh, I brought a lot of things with me today. Can you see it?
Yes, those recording sessions when I recorded the last. I have to also say, my God, I never thought I would do so many Christmas recordings. That was my third Christmas recording. And I said, okay, I think I've done enough, because that one, I decided, my daughter sings with me on that last recording. It's called The Secrets of Christmas. And the title comes from Ella Fitzgerald's song that she did, The Secret of Christmas, just gorgeous. I sing it on that CD. And I decided this one, I'm going to bring a family content to it. And that's why I had my daughter sing with me on the recording. And I went and licensed 4 songs with my father. And the Panis Angelicus, I'm singing it with him on that. So I took all this and said, okay, this will be my final Christmas CD.
It's so beautiful.
Secret. So those videos on YouTube are the actual recording sessions that are from that Secret of Christmas.
I just bought this recently because Christmas is here, and I was poking around. I thought I should have this, and I keep playing it. I've been playing it every day. I love it. I love listening to your father and your daughter on it. It's a wonderful recording. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
So when you were here in August, which doesn't seem so long ago, but I guess time passes quickly, And I did the tribute to your father, which you joined me with so beautifully. And I received many, many emails and also messages on my website. There were some questions that people asked, and I thought, if I may, I could ask you those questions. I think they're very good.
Yes.
I started to weed through things that would be more interesting to you. So here's the first one, which is maybe easier. I'll give you decide. What has been the most of all of the operatic recording performances you've given? Which character do you like the most, and which character do you enjoy singing the most?
I think the one I like the most is Figaro. Figaro is just, in the Barber of Seville. He's just a fun character to portray all the way through. Lots of humor, musically challenging. The big aria, the Largo al Factotum, but then there's the duets and trios and the ensembles and everything. I'd have to say he is my favorite all-time character, let's say, and maybe musically too. But then the other very close behind, but musically not as satisfying because it's not challenging musically, and that's Don Giovanni, because Mozart wrote that for, it could be a bass, baritone, so, and it doesn't have the big arias, but the character, Don Giovanni, my God, you can portray him 1,000 different ways. And I think I've done about 500 different ways. And from a juvenile delinquent to, I even did it with my father. So I got to kick my father in the pants because he was Leporello, so what a great opportunity to have to work with your father as Leporello and me as Don Giovanni. So yeah, these would be the two operas. I hope that answers their questions.
For me personally speaking, and I don't think I'm alone, I think the recording companies missed out a great chance to have you record Don Giovanni. Fits you like a glove.
Yeah. I
Beautifully
didn't come in the
beautifully.
right time for that. We all have our moments. Like my father never sang at La Scala. I mean, that is crazy. Louis Quilico never sang at La Scala. I had the chance to, but he didn't. And it was like opportunities that don't happen, or certain things just don't happen. We can't have it all, but
But we
can't complain.
try.
Yeah, we tried.
So actually, since you mentioned that, I brought a few little show and tells today because I knew kind of what we had chatted about and we've talked about before. Tell us a little bit about this, which I asked you where it was from originally. This is from Stuttgart, right? And I think that I've been around long enough to say this comfortably. If somebody wants to know about Figaro, you need to watch this movie because you are perfect in this. This is one of the great performances, and everyone's very good in this, but you are really amazing. You bring out so many dimensions.
Well, that's Cecilia's almost debut, Cecilia Bartoli's debut. So she kind of like debuted with me. Nobody knew the great Cecilia Bartoli when we did this this production and then recording and etc. But so it was very funny because in those days, the show would finish, we'd all come out for our bows, and Cecilia would get little claps and I'd get raving ovations. And then like 1 year later, now Cecilia became the superstar and I sang The Barber with her again. And it was like she got the huge ovation and I got the little applause,
Is
to
that
show
true?
yeah, but it's okay. It's fun. She's great. She's a wonderful artist, and was perfect for that role for Rosina. I mean, with the coloratura and everything. That production was with Michael Hampe, which I worked with many times, who was the director of the Hamburg Staatsoper, and not Hamburg, Köln Staatsoper. And we did it even at Covent Garden, and I think we even did it somewhere, maybe possibly in San Francisco. I don't remember where, but this production rolled quite a bit before we did it in. And then Schwetzingen is where we did it in the small theater. That recording is in a small theater where Mozart played on that stage. And I remember walking, and they didn't change the wood on that stage. The wood is still like all bent and like this. And I remember walking on that stage and looking on the ground, and I'm in the middle singing my aria, the Largo al Factotum, and I said, Mozart was right here playing the harpsichord, or whatever they were called, those early pianos. And I said, I can't believe it. I'm doing this, you know. And so, yeah, so there was a lot of magic involved in that production and working with wonderful artists and everything. So I was having a blast doing one of my favorite characters, Figaro. As you can see, I'm having fun. And that's the goal of when you do an opera like that, is you got to have fun, but, you know, be professional, but have fun.
Thank you. I love this video. I had not owned it until a few years ago, and I got it. It's like, wow, this is amazing. Just, it's a great cast as well.
Yeah,
So,
fabulous cast.
so here is a question that is actually from a friend of mine who's a singer. You have been singing a long time, and your voice is still in great shape. What does one do to have a long career, and what recommendations would you have to someone who is just starting out?
That's a hard question to answer in a short, but say what I did is I always respected my voice. The voice is always first. I'm a good actor. I put a lot of importance in the acting and everything, but the voice must come first. The technique. The only reason I believe I made a career so fast, went right up to the top. By the age of 30 something years old, I sang in every major opera house almost in the world, is because I had this incredible technique. I had no repertoire, very little repertoire, but I had a solid technique. Now, of course, I had a great teacher, my father and my mother, but I will base all my success on that technique, because once you get into the career, all the stress, there's a lot of politics, there's a lot of ups and downs, the critique will criticize you sometimes, and it's like a knife in the heart. And then you'll have the hierarchy of the conductor, the director, and if you're the little fart like I was in the beginning, the little kid, they pick on you. They don't pick on the stars, they pick on you. So you better have a thick skin, and to do that, you got to have a solid technique. So that is the most important. And don't sing anything that's not for you. Sing what you believe is correct for your voice. I never touched Verdi till much later in my career. And even till now, there are many Verdis I did not sing, because I'm a lyric baritone. I sing Rossini, Mozart, some of the Verdis, Donizetti. This is my repertoire. I never went towards the big Verdi repertoire, which is my father, who had a more darker sound in his voice. So it was very tempting when they offered me sometimes to sing these roles. I just said no. Or if my father was still around, I said, no, call my father. Yeah. So that's the best advice I can give to a young singer today. Quickly, a quick advice.
Another question I had to was asked was, what was your professional debut? What would you consider your first performance that was your debut?
The Medium by Giancarlo Menotti with Maureen Forrester, sure. 1978. I'll never forget. I was a little bit too young for that role, but I got it because my voice was in good shape, and they just tried to make me up as much as possible to look a little older. But that was Maureen Forrester who gave me my break, my debut, and believe it or not, she gave my father his first professional engagement as well. So Maureen is responsible for the Quilicos.
That is an interesting piece of advice. I saw the listing for the DVD,
yes,
but I did not know that information.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. That was my debut, and I got to meet Giancarlo Menotti too, and that was such a wow, get to meet these big stars. I'm very starstruck. I'm the type of singer that will go and line up to get an autograph from another singer. I have no problems with that. I'm starstruck. That's it.
Can you imagine how it is for me to be doing this right now? You're one of my favorite singers of all time. I saw you at the Met. I still, when I listen to your recordings, you were like absolutely one of my favorite singers. And I'm very comfortable saying that to you because I know everything is subjective, but I'm hardly alone. It's fun. I think I'll bring out two more things. I know that you have students and you're teaching. and I saw a snippet of one of your master classes on Facebook. It was incredible. Are you torturing us, or are you going to let us see more? It was really good. I so much enjoyed it. Very, very
Oh, it
good.
was
Interesting.
fantastic. It was a great experience because first of all, that particular one is at the University of Toronto where I graduated there, and therefore I was in the rooms where I was working and studying myself, and from student I've become professor and of talents. I just love working with young talent. It's just to give them the right advice, to guide them and that particular master class was very beneficial, because when you're working with these kind of kids that are very enthusiastic, and within the class there were results, and then I love it when the other kids are there because they support the result, and therefore for the young singer who sometimes we don't hear what we're doing wrong, and so to see that all of a sudden right away the other kids are going, yeah, they were happy, and so that is so positive. It's a kind of like positive criticism. In other words, you're not bringing anybody down, you're lifting them up with the criticism, and that's what my mother was great at. And that's what I try to do, lift them up with the criticism. And yes, I love to do a lot more of these. I've done them all over the world a little bit. I've been in Sicily doing them. I've been in Brazil doing them. And of course, nul prophète dans son pays. That's like in my own country, I don't do too much of it. I don't know how you say that. Like in your own country, you don't get recognized for the same things. But this is Toronto. It was great. I hope to do some here in Montreal more. And yeah, well, if I do them, I'll post a couple of those little teasers. And but in the meantime, if anybody wants to study voice, they can go check out my website, which is Voix de Montréal, VOIXDE Montreal at is that Gmail? Voix de Montréal at gmail.com, something like that. Yeah. Oh, I'm terrible here. I should remember this.
The Gmail is probably the email address, right? The Gmail. Gmail would be the email address. So it's .com. You said .com.
.com. Yeah, voixdemontreal.com. That's right. The Gmail is the where you write to me to say you'd like to take a voice lesson. So I started that on my own, and that's how I teach here in Montreal, basically. And like I said, I get invited sometimes to schools outside of the country. That's what was the case in Sicily. And all the tenors loved me, by the way. Even though I'm the baritone, the tenors love to study with me. I don't know why.
Be careful because your voice is going up higher.
Yeah, because maybe they say, hey, this baritone's got high notes, how did he keep those high notes, and I said, so they like me, and we have fun. It's a lot of fun. I love doing that, and continue to sing, which is great. I've been really given a great gift by my parents and my father and my mother to be able to sing still at my age is good, and there's no wobble in my voice.
None. Absolutely. Absolutely. And what is your website address? The website address?
Gino Quilico at ginoquilico.com. That's it. Or .ca. .ca is the French version, I believe. .com is the English version. Yeah. Because I got to do everything bilingual here in Canada,
I know. I will put it on the screen also so that people can see it. And then I did want to ask you, I know that you have, you're teaching shortly, and I very much appreciate you giving us this time. What do you have coming up? Would you like to share a bit of that, of what you'll be doing in 2024?
Yeah, I'll be doing more. First, I'll be down in the sun, basking in the sun for a month and a half. And then after that, I'll be doing kind of like little concerts that I do regularly, which is basically a combination. I call it serata d'amore, evening of love. And basically, I just change the formula depending on the crowd I'm dealing with. If it's a Valentine's Day, if it's Mother's Day, if it's just whatever, a more English community or a more French community, and I choose the songs and move them around. And it's basically a little bit my story. I talk about my early days in France, and therefore, and then Italy, the early Italy where I learned that. So I sing, of course, O Sole Mio, Torna Sorrento, and then I'll sing La Vie en Rose, and then I'll sing Toreador, and I'll sing Largo al Factotum, the Figaro aria. I go into every aspect of my career, Broadway, because I've done a lot of Broadway, so that Les Miserables and all that. And then next year, I start a series of concerts that go till 2005 of an evening called Broadway en Lumière, Broadway in Lights. And it's a producer here in Montreal that's producing the show. We have so far about 30 shows. And so I'll be singing all the big hits of Broadway. So with others, I have 2 other women singers and another male. So we'll be switching up to do duos and trios, and they're younger. One female, one and male are younger, so therefore they'll be doing the more modern ones, Broadway too, and I'll be doing the more classics because of my opera. They're pop singers, and I'm like a little in between both worlds. So I'll be singing some of the more classics, like Old Man River and all these kind of great loving tunes. I just love them to death.
Very good.
So that's a little bit what I'm doing. Nothing too much. No opera. I don't do much opera at all anymore because it takes too much time, too much of my life, and a month and a half of my life somewhere in the world. I've done that for, well, now I can say now I've got 45 years under my belt.
Incredible.
So I hope to make it to 50. If I make 50 years, I'm having a big party. I'll tell you that. A big major party.
Such a delight. And this has been really a wonderful time. I want to wish you and your family the very best for Christmas, for the season, the very best for the new year. And you've been delightful. Thank you so much for making time doing this today.
Thank you,
Appreciate it.
Howard. All the best to you. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and see you in May.
Sounds good. Ciao.
That's good. Ciao. Bye.
Ciao.
Speaking Opera focuses on documenting the career activities of currently active singers, composers, musicians, and authors in the field of operatic performance and scholarship, and specialists in the field of audio recording, as well as those who have retired fully or partially from performing and/or teaching. Under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use.